Well, hello and welcome. I think this is going to be a fun one today. Today I'm going to be doing a pet portrait commission of two pugs for one of you, and really excited about that. I think it's going to be really fun. They're super cute. So, yeah, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to start working on canvas today. I'm going to do kind of a wet on wet background to start with. I've been going back and forth about this. I think I'm going to do a burnt sienna underpainting, and then bring out some cool tones and some warm tones, and just kind of keep going back and forth. Some great fur texture and facial expressions going on in this, so I think it should be very fun. All right, so I'm going to just start by mixing that up. Did a little bit of a palette reset, so I've got some spots to fill in here. It had just been getting a little bit messy, so I'm gonna put my burnt sienna down here. Actually, I'm just gonna put some out here as well. And I'm gonna put a little bit of orange in with that as well. This is gonna be a little bit of one of those wild underpaintings that looks a little crazy to start with, but I think it's gonna come together. So, all right. Put out some cadmium red light as well. I'm finding between cadmium red light and cadmium yellow that I don't really need the cad orange as much as I used to use it more. So I'll leave that one off for now. We'll see. If I feel like I need it, I'll add it back in. Get some burnt umber. For this particular painting, a lot of times when I'm choosing colors to start with, I'm kind of thinking, what kind of combo am I going to use to get my darkest color? And sometimes I go red-green, and sometimes I go orange-blue. And I think this painting orange-blue is going to sort out. There's not too much red in this painting, so I feel like the red-green would be not quite as good. So I don't know. This is an orange-blue one. So I'm gonna put some phthalo blue as well. My favorite super bright blue, which I have a little bit of all over my fingers right now. So I was cleaning this palette off, and somehow if you get one little drop of this on you, it ends up everywhere. And some Viridian. I am safe. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do safe. This might actually be more than I need. I'm gonna put some of this back in its pile. I'm gonna take a bit of this cad red as well. Let's see where that comes out to. This is gonna be one of these color choices. I feel like someone's gonna say, why did you do this? But I think it's gonna work. Sometimes I think coming up with sort of the craziest color to start with, and then working back over it, really just gives you some very cool highlights, gives it a little bit of extra energy. So I'm seeing a color that is similar to this in some of the lighter parts of the fur. Especially on the dark colored pug, so I think that's gonna work. I think it's gonna work well. All right. Do I want to go a little bit whiter with this? I think I do. Just get out some of this titanium white. A little there. A little extra over here. Bring a little bit of this white in here, just to see how light I want it to get. It's kind of almost like a terracotta color now. I might go Maybe a little bit wider than that even. Maybe that's about right, actually. Move this white over here. Okay. So I'm gonna add a little solvent to that, and also a little bit of linseed oil. Not too much, just enough to keep this wet for a little bit. See, the yellow again. It's everywhere. So I'll go ahead and mix this up. So for this image, I did a little bit of work on the computer to do just to get the mock-up close to what I wanted to work with. So I cropped in on the dogs a little bit closer, and I moved them a little bit closer together too. I could have done that just while painting, but it was easier to just get the proportions of the image the way I wanted them first. And then I simplified the background a little bit, just because I didn't want it to distract from them too much, but the lighting was nice, and thought I could throw in a little extra color just to give it a little bit extra vibrancy, I guess. Let's see. It's a little crazy. I'm gonna try it out though. Alright. So grab a big brush, a little bit of solvent. That's pretty fun. A little crazy, but also fun. Might have to mix up a little bit more of this. Actually worked out fine. Somehow, whatever amount I do always ends up being the right amount. You don't, for this first layer, you don't want this paint very thick. It will make it messier and just harder to Better to work on top of it. You know, just a little bit will help all the other colors flow. Right. All right. So I'm gonna mainly start in the foreground. I'm gonna start with the darkest colors first. Start by washing up this brush though. Maybe it's just a good color to make me smile. Maybe I'll cover it all up and it won't matter anyway. It is very, very pumpkin, almost pumpkin. Yeah, kind of a pumpkin color. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little more pink than pumpkin. Somewhere between salmon and pumpkin, maybe. Most of the paint out of this brush. The nice thing about this brush cleaner is it keeps the brushes from drying out, so even if you don't get all the paint out of them, they won't dry in there either. I'm gonna mix up some dark colors, I think. So, start. I'm gonna use this knife. I like this one I like it normally for like geometric buildings and houses and things like that, but I also like it anytime I need to do a lot of detail, and I feel like around the ears and just getting these shapes roughed in, I think that this is gonna work out well. So that's the plan anyway. Start with some phthalo blue and some burnt umber. I'm just gonna mix a dark tone there. Let's see how that goes for the darkest areas of this painting. Really like how these mix into a base layer. So just kind of measuring here. I want to get these ears in the right place. So put that little dash. Do this little dash here. If I get this right, it will all kind of come together right from there. I think I'm actually a little low. That's okay. Just gonna go up. I'm gonna move that. This is all dark area anyway, so it will work out. A little bit lower. Just getting this sort of eye line in. Let's get this other one. So a little lower. About this angle here. It's funny when you see these guys, you're like, I feel like it was probably tricky to get them to stand still. But they cooperated for a minute. possibly encouraged by a treat. I don't know, I'm just guessing. All right. Okay. Sometimes I wait and I'll do the faces last, but I feel like for this one, I just wanted to get them in there, get their little expressions started. Just warming up the mix a little bit. I put a little bit more burnt umber in. Again, I don't want to get too fussy with lines on this, but I feel like it'll benefit from having a strong layout to start with. Maybe a little bit more blue over here. Mix in a little bit of burnt sienna. Let's bring this shadow in here. Got some really nice shadows kind of moving from their paws. I want to capture those. Good amount of shadow in this, actually. I feel like it's different than doing a landscape painting in that sense, where you end up with actually a lot more light. Probably could have even come in with a brush and done some of this, which might have gone a little smoother. I might switch and do that. And just to help get this first layer down, but not so thick. It's important to always be open to changing strategies. You know, if you're looking at what you're doing and you're seeing something you can try that's different, it's always worth it. Even if it doesn't work, even if it turns out maybe next time I wouldn't do it that way, it might be worth trying it this time. Okay, let's switch. I'm not gonna go to a really big brush. Maybe this one. Just flattening this a little bit. Letting it blend in a little more quietly. I don't want to go too long with this, but just a little softness. Simplify this a little bit for now as well. Just leaving a little bit of this yeah, it's good. I think it's getting the shapes in a little quicker this way. Sometimes if you go too slowly, it's easy to kind of get distracted, end up in different places. All right, that's coming along. And this helps me avoid having very thick edges to work with right away, too. some flexibility. Okay. Here we go. There we go. I think it's coming along. Okay. Let's wash this out. Get back to knife painting. I think that worked out pretty well. All right. Great expressions. So let's start by, let's see. I'm actually going to use, there it is. Use my little round knife for a little bit. I'm going to just work on, let's see. I'm going to start filling in some of the darker colors on the fawn pug. I think that a little bit of burnt sienna, a little white, a little cad yellow. Let's see. Am I about there? It's actually pretty close to some of these. To the background of the orange. So I don't need to do too much with it. Just kind of works out. And a little bit more. Need a sort of muted. Let's say this is gonna be too blue. Let's see. It's a bit too blue. Maybe a little more white. Just trying to place in some of these. This is a shadow on some of the whiter fur here. It looks light right now, but once it's in place, it'll make a little bit more sense. A lot of this is just looking at colors and looking at shapes. I said, okay, I see a blue triangle. I'm gonna paint a blue triangle. Go from there. Okay. And fur is really fun to paint though. There's a lot of different colors, a lot of different reflections. Okay. Seeing like this leg here is darker. A little bit warmer too. A little dash of sienna right here. Sometimes I just like to put a little dot in, and then, you know, I'll come back to it later. That's something that's nice about working with oil paints, is everything stays wet, so I can, sometimes I just store a color for later. Get a little bit of this red. A little bit here too. Alright, those are looking pretty good. Let's work on this guy a little bit. So, I think this mix actually worked really well, where the background blended in with some of the dark tones, and then I can even go in and re-darken the darkest parts of it. Mix up a little more of that. I'm going to actually add some alizarin to this as well. Just warm it up a little bit. Let's start up here. just looking at the shapes, and I'm not worrying too much about details right here. Just if there's a shadow, draw the shadow.
Bring this up just a little bit. Let's see what I have here. I'm gonna do a separate pile actually. Do a slightly warmer one. It's still pretty dark though. Okay. Dark fur is always its own special fun challenge. Some blues,
brown. Every way the light hits it, it changes, so end up with lots of different colors. It's good. It's a good fun one. Okay. This area is a little bit lighter. This in general is a bit darker. I'm gonna go in. Keep kind of modeling the form here. I'm excited. I think I may do some of the fur texturing with the knife that I used on the wolf painting. And I'm going to save it till a little bit later in the process. Keep everything a little smoother for now. Putting in some of these little light reflections where it just kind of separates her from the darkness. Then over here, actually, almost gets lost with this shadow. I want to bring that back in later. Okay. Right. I need like a medium gray. Maybe a little warmer. Just to start buffing in some of these facial details. Could go even a little. This just makes me smile. Okay. Do that there as well. Let's start mixing up. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's a little cad yellow. A little white. A little bit of this blue gray that I had mixed up already. It's actually right about, let's see, it's a little dark. It's a little dark. Maybe a little bit more white to that. Don't want to go overly bright with this yet, but I just want to start getting it into place. It's too late for there. secondary tone. There's a balance between sort of moving quickly, making fast decisions, and like keeping it from getting too, keeping myself from overthinking it, I guess, really. And then not being careful enough, but I think I might be striking a good balance with it, I think. Yeah, I think these colors are going to work out really well. Starting to see it makes sense. Thinking about putting in a little bit more of this background blue here too. I don't think I really need it yet. I think I'm gonna keep waiting. Okay. So I need sort of a nice like light cream color here. Almost just using the titanium white, but then with a little bit of what was on my knife already. I'll put this little, that might be the lightest. I've got like one little bit of white fur here that might be the actual lightest light in this image. Get this shape right. Pretty good. I'll brighten that up a little bit more later, but I guess I could start. Okay. Some very light toes here as well. Side of this foot as well. Cool. Okay. All right. So we got warmer and more yellowy. Fur here is really beautiful and reflecting a lot of different light. I'm gonna try and keep, sometimes if you add too much white, it actually tends to take away some of the color, which I guess makes sense. But I try to keep my colors bright. Do that more than adding white to get all these light tones to start anyway. Okay. Well, that looks pretty good for the side of the face. Try and kind of move the knife in a way that describes the shape of these forms. And it doesn't always work out, but that's coming. Okay. Okay. A little of this, a little of that. Some of these colors, as I'm mixing them, I couldn't even tell you what they are. They're just, you know, a little warmer, a little cooler, a little more this, a little more that. And a lot of times I'm just kind of comparing them to the colors that are around them. And seeing, comparing one area to another. The forms are really starting to come together there now. It's funny, there's a point where it just kind of goes from looking like a bunch of blobs to a painting, and I think it's very tempting to, when you're doing this, to want to stop and realize and think that's not working, or try to try something else. And sometimes it's just a matter of sticking with it long enough for it to start making sense. I like it when it does, then it works out though. Starting to put in some of these highlights, which I don't probably really need yet, but I think I'll end up putting a bit more in as I go. a little white. I think that's coming along. All right. Moving around here, putting in some of this lighter fur texture as well. As the sun's hitting this, it actually turns more of a red color. Maybe even a little alizarin. Let's try that. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Okay. Alizarin, a little more sienna too. Okay. There we go. Okay. Letting this paint be a little streaky. Just kind of mixing it just a little. It gives you this sort of shiny effect. It's working pretty well. Okay. A bit more of that over here. Sometimes I don't want that, so I'll mix it a little bit more. Just kind of put in these more flat areas where I don't see a lot of detail. back. I'd like to keep the paint thicker on the dogs and sort of thinner toward the background. I'm gonna go in with a knife, and then I may end up brushing it out a bit more again. I like how this effect worked out though. Let's see. So even though I'm still working in some of these dark tones, I'm working a bit warmer now. Just anywhere I see more of a deep brown than a black. Just putting that in. Some of these little shadows are really quite expressive. Okay. I'm looking forward to doing their faces. I'm gonna probably not do too much with those. I'm gonna let it dry. Kind of start getting them in there. Yeah, let's do a little bit with this background. So I think let's switch knives for that. We got a lot of colors that I think are going to work really well now. So it may actually help me clean up my palette a little bit. So down on the ground here, I've got sort of a stony texture here. It's an opportunity to make these shadows a little bit more descriptive too. And I'm just kind of cruising around here, putting in the colors I see. Trying not to get too caught up in it. Like I said, I'm kind of using this a way to bring some more color in that I see, but also can take a little bit off the palette as well. In this area, I'm seeing a little bit cooler tone, a little bit whiter. letting that mix in there. Kind of highlights this pond, this shadow. Setting up a background is important, I think. Until you really have something in a space, you really don't know how it's working. So I wanted to make sure I had the dogs in the right place before I got into it, but I think putting it off too long would be possibly problematic. Let's see. Okay, pretty good. A little bit more around this foot, I think is a good idea. Just kind of putting these details in. And the mock-up I had done like a pretty intense teal for the upper part of the background. And I think I still like that idea. I think it bring this cool color in. I'm gonna go. Might not go full strength immediately though. So take some Viridian, take some white, and take some Phthalo. That is pretty intense. Kind of mix it down a little bit. Grab some of this brown. Try a little bit of that. It's intense, but I like it. Okay. Thinning this out a little bit, a little thinner, a little lighter. decide if I want to brush this out or if I want to let it be all fun and knifey. It's kind of has a good look right now. Let's soften it just a little. I know I've been very quiet in this one. People keep asking me to talk more, and I want to. But sometimes I just don't have any words while I'm doing this. I don't know. I think it just takes different parts of your brain sometimes. I don't know. I've gotten better at that. I've gotten better at that. Sharing what I'm thinking. I think it's actually helped my art get better too. It's probably not a bad thing to be practicing. Kind of scrubbing this in to fill in the canvas a little bit more. I could do it with a brush, but I don't think I want to lose this texture that I've got from the knife. So just a little scrub with the knife will work. And that blend effect is working really nice. Actually, like how the phthalo picked up just a little bit. Looks just a little bit more blue right here. Something that I think is unique to paint, and actually even more to oil paint, I think, is just the way that the pigments can behave. Eventually you kind of get to know their particular habits, I guess. I don't know if there's a better way to describe that. But these pigments tend to go on very strong and dark. It's funny what will happen if you add just a little bit of a light color to them. All of a sudden, like a bunch of different colors will kind of show up. Alright. I think this might be a good stopping point for now. Because the faces are pretty flat. I always check before I stop to make sure that I don't have any hard lines anywhere that I don't want them, because I think that they can make it hard to go over later, and then they'll be distracting in the final. But I think this is looking pretty good. So cool. I'm excited. I'm having fun. All right, I'll be back in a minute. All right, and I'm back. Yeah, so it's been about a day. This is setting up a little bit. It's like a little bit sticky, but most of the thin spots are fairly dry. Just gonna kind of keep working into it. I wanna focus in on the faces and just clean up some little details, but I love the feel of it overall. So I think we're on off to a good start. Yeah, I think it might. I left my palette a bit messy in case I wanted to use any of these colors, and I think I actually might use a few. Let's see. Just using this little edge here to decide if I want to use this knife more in the sort of final details of it. I think it might be kind of cool. I like it in the highlights a lot, actually. Yeah, I'll see. I don't think I'm gonna overuse it, but I think here and there it might be kind of nice. So I'm gonna start by just kind of refining some of these highlighted areas. Yeah, some of these little edges where there's just a little bit of light on the fur, it works really well. I think that's going to work really well. Okay. Let's see. go. Yeah, that's starting to give them a little bit more form. I don't want to go too into depth with this, but I'm also kind of feeling like I'm in a groove with it. So before I get into faces, I'll just kind of bring it to a place where the bodies feel pretty well unified. That's pretty good. All right, I'm going to clean off this palette. Good to kind of start fresh. And for this, just scrape it down pretty well, and then the paint that's left, I just wipe off with a little bit of citrus solvent. Okay. So for the faces, I'm gonna mix up a few different tones. I'm gonna basically mix up some warm grays and some cool grays, and then I want to mix up some kind of deep browns for the eyes. Yeah, I'll work with a knife on those to start, but I may switch to a brush pretty quickly. We'll see. Okay. So, I'm going to top up my burnt umber. So it's getting a little bit low. And got the alizarin. I'm going to use that, I think, for partially for the brown. The alizarin and some of the, maybe some of the burnt umber, actually. That might be about right. I'm going to put a little bit more Cad Red Light out as well. And maybe some Cad Yellow, since that's running low. Get a little bit of white out. It's messy, but it's probably good enough for now. It's mostly going to be working in dark colors. I'm going to start with this little pointy knife too. So, let's see. Start with a blue-brown mix. It's a dark gray, very cool though. So I'm gonna take some of this. I'm gonna also add some alizarin to it. Make kind of more of a warmer purpler version. And from that, I'm gonna make a lighter one.
Move a little of that to the side for now. I think it could be a little bit warmer still. Let's see. Oh, it's very purple. Probably a little too purple. I'm gonna finish mixing it a little bit more though, I think. It might be hard to tell. And I'm really just gonna do kind of a mini version of what I was doing when I laid the whole thing out, which is just see a shape, make a shape. So I see this kind of slightly lighter gray triangle here, the right side of her cheek. And I want to kind of get the nose in place, but it's mostly in shadow, so I've actually got most of it. I've got kind of a nostril to highlight, and then a sort of wrinkle here. Let's see. Take a little bit of this cat yellow, makes kind of a dark brown. It's a lot of different dark colors, kind of all the same general area. Slightly lighter here too. Okay. Trying to really get the eyes in the right spot now. That's pretty close. My nose is like slightly low. That's pretty good. And there's also a little diamond on her forehead, so it's kind of fun. Moving around, seeing these little shadows and different things here. Okay, looks really good.
gonna switch probably to a brush in a minute and just fix some of these contours. It's a little bit hard to get exactly the right shape with the knife, but it is kind of better for applying colors, so that's why I'm sticking with it. So. I might switch to a brush for a quick second here. Mix up a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow ochre, I think. Yeah, that's a really good highlight on her. Let's see. Do a little bit with the ears as well. Just get this little curl in there. Trying to just get the colors in the right spot to start with, and then from there kind of get the, put the pupils, the irises and pupils in and whatnot. But first it's just kind of like getting the right shapes. I like over detail the eye, and then it turns out something's not quite right. That will just be more troublesome to move. So. I'm gonna swap back to a knife for a little bit. So I think I've got the face a little too dark right now, and it's getting the eyes are a little bit too big and they're kind of growing. So I'm gonna bring some more light back in. And just keep at it. So bring in some cad yellow, some white. And a little bit of the Sprint Sienna, maybe. It's probably somewhere in between. The light's really what gives us the form, which is really what gives the shape of the face. So you want to kind of pull something out, you can make it lighter. I'm going to set it back a little bit, make it darker. A little shadow here under the ear. Mix up a little bit of a light blue gray. Some of these kind of lighter shadow areas. Just a little bit of shade on this side. that problem of a little bit of blue somewhere ends up everywhere. Something in the expression that's just a little bit like accusatory and a little bit questioning at the same time. It's funny how expressive animals are. I guess they can't talk, so they do talk. Getting there. Pointiness of this knife is actually not serving me that well. Switch to the round one for a little bit. I think for this, it's best to keep to simple shapes. Seems true for people. I think that you get the right things right. Sometimes less is more in terms of information. If you draw every little line or pore on someone's skin, they're not going to be that happy about it. And I don't think it really helps. Doesn't really help tell you who they are. Just trying to get the shape of the face right.
kind of squinting, looking for things that are a little bit off. Simplifying this area. This shadowed area doesn't have a lot of detail. I don't want it to actually draw your eye all that much. Less is more in terms of marks. And just going to simplify all of this a little bit. It will be better to put the rest of the details in if I'm not working on top of too much paint.
getting there. I know, I'm quiet. I'm quiet right now. That's what happens when I focus sometimes. I think she's coming along now. Trying not to get too messy here. It's easy to, something that the knife kind of helps you prevent is it doesn't, even if you tend to blend a little bit with a knife, it doesn't mix quite as much. But I am able to get a little bit more detail with the brush. It's looking pretty good. Gonna maybe let that one sit a little bit more. Come back to it. Pretty good. Okay. Let's match you. Okay. This little highlight for the top of the nose in place. I think a lot of other things are going to follow from that. So I get that eye. This. Funny, they have actually very similar colors in their faces. Possibly because of the lighting. But red's a little intense right now, but I think I just need a little bit of it in there. Love this expression. Maybe this one's actually a little bit easier because of being turned ever so slightly. And bring a little bit of this green back in over here, but just would want to these edges of these ears in place. Pretty good. Okay. Let's see. Such a good expression. Okay. Alright, a little highlight on the chin. Maybe I'm just warmed up now. Let's see. I think I was able to get the expression on this one with a lot quicker. Let's see. Do you want to fix the top of the head on this? It's just a little too high.
meridian. Is that essentially? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Ear. A little bit lighter. May even come in with a knife again along these edges. There we go. That edge looks a lot better. More the right shape. Even if that got a little muddy. Okay, a little bit gray for right here. I like it. Okay. It's always kind of, there's definitely always a point where every painting goes to kind of like an ugly phase, but with portraits in particular, I feel like when you start the faces, there's definitely a did I ruin it stage. Portraits of people, portraits of dogs, all kind of can have the same issue. Okay. I think it might be time to get some white out. Just kind of softening some of this. I want to leave a lot of the knife marks. I don't want to overblend it, but I do feel like just softening some areas. It's a nice effect.
getting there. I'm gonna swap back to a knife for a little bit. I think I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna end up letting this dry one more time in order to put the last little sparkles in their eyes and things like that. I don't want those things to mix in, but I think there's a little bit more I can do with a knife in general, just to kind of work over the whole feel of it. Maybe brighten up a few bits here and there. Yeah. What I want to do is just build in a little bit more complexity to these darks here. I'm going to take a little burnt sienna, a little bit of alizarin, and a little bit of viridian. Just gonna work over a few of these areas. Just add another kind of tone in here. That's pretty good. And I think sometimes just these kind of nicer, like big marks, just make it feel a little bit a little simpler to look at, a little bit more pleasing. That's a nice thing about having the first layer be a bit dry. As if I do that, I can also sort of fix it. There we go.
little bit more of that. I think it's working pretty well though. There we go. The knife's good for taking off a little extra paint too. Where there's just a little too much.
It's really like, I would probably have a hard time explaining what I'm really doing right now. Other than just continuing to make small adjustments where I see something I can do. Really just trying to get the right feel to it. And that wasn't it. I do want to sort of lighten and warm up this area a bit. Did not want red in there. I do feel like this area got a little too gray. At least in the light area. In the shadow, I think the gray is fine. But I like to kind of warm it up a little bit. I'm gonna leave it for a little bit longer and come back and hopefully finalize the rest of the details. And yeah, call this one done. So, back in a few. Hi puppies. And I'm back. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going with this one. Got a couple of things here and there that I'd like to fix up a bit. I'm gonna just keep working at it. It's tempting to kind of get focused on just one of them for a while, and then I'll feel like the sort of style doesn't match, so then I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. Oops, a little bit wet still, but not too bad. Yeah, so just gonna keep at it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Take a little bit of paint off, actually, because I've got a couple areas that are still wet that I'd kind of like to refine a little bit. So rather than let them fully dry thick, I can fix this expression a little bit. better already. That eye was haunting me. Alright, that's getting better. Take a little bit off there. Nice thing is it's just paint, you know. Put a little on, take a little off. Okay. It's actually kind of nice to work with this mostly dried paint and move it around a little bit before I add more on top. That way anything that's a little thicker than it needs to be, I can kind of clean up. For instance, on the edge of this ear, I want to put a little highlight in. Having a thick piece of black paint underneath wouldn't really help me very much. Alright. I think her nose is in a good spot. I think this one, I actually need to shift the nose over a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Alright, I'll get to that in a minute. It's coming along now. Sometimes what I'll do in between working on these is I'll actually take a picture and then just kind of look at it off and on throughout the day. And just meditate on it a little bit. On the whole, though, I think it's going in a nice direction. Okay. Let's start by mixing up a few colors. Put a little bit more burnt sienna. I seem to be using a lot of that. And I actually think some yellow ochre could be really helpful. I'm just going to put it right here because I can go on top of that cad orange pile I'm not using. I don't want to get it over there. This wasn't a good spot because it ended up mixed in with the blues. I think that will be good. And then I've still got a little cad red light out. Oh, this one's a little messy. Got some more white. I think my white had gotten a little bit messy last time. Didn't do me any favors. I'm gonna open up my linseed oil and my citrus solvent as well. I think I may end up using a little bit of both. As you get into finer details, it's nice to be able to make the paint flow a little bit nicer. Alright, I'm gonna start by moving this nose over since that was one of the first things that was kind of bugging me. Let's see. I think that'll be a good idea. So, mix up a gray for that. I'm actually gonna do a dark with alizarin and viridian to start with for this. I think the phthalo is nice, but it's like so overpowering that it tends to mix into other colors if I layer them on top, so I'm gonna try this combo instead. This might be a little bit light, but mix it down a little bit. Yeah, I think it's too light. Even go a little bit. That might be too much yellow, but I'll take a little bit. Let's see. It's a bit green. We'll start there. Okay. It's tricky because there is a highlight on the top of the nose. It is a little to the right of where the actual nostrils are. Let's see. Let's block it out first. Okay. A little better. I think I'm like, there's like one shade of gray that I need that's pretty dark. I think the highlights I went a little bit too light on originally. I'm kind of just filling in kind of a lighter gray now in some spots. I'm happy to be doing this though. I think I do like painting the pets. I think I practice landscapes a lot, and I think that I have a lot more shortcuts kind of built into my mind for those. And the pet ones, I think I should just do them more and have more of those in mind. Same thing with people portraits. It's a little easier to find dogs willing to be subjects though than people probably. Actually tried looking up some stock photos for people and I thought that they all were like, I don't know. I think I'd rather paint real people than like models. Let's see. There we go. I feel like it's getting just a little bit more round looking and a little bit less like a little bit less blocky somehow. I think it just comes from having a lot more tones. Yeah, okay. Getting there. Okay. Okay. Let's see. It all just gets to be tiny little details. Just little color shifts and things like that. Feeling pretty good though. I don't think I have anything major sort of structurally that's off at this point. I think that nose was the one thing that was not playing nice. Now it's just kind of refining color. Giving it the right feel. This little warm tone right here on the chest is quite nice. A lot of times I'm kind of putting down one color and then layering another color on top just to get it to blend. You can actually do that even with like acrylic paints. And I think maybe that's kind of where I got it from originally. If you apply something like right away, you can get a little bit more control over the way the colors blend. Let's see. This white is in here. Just gonna scrape it back. I feel like this is causing problems. Sometimes it's better to scrape something away than to try to put more color on top. It's just gonna keep mixing in and not cooperating. So it's a little bit bright. I wanted this to be like fairly saturated right here. But not looking for it to be white. Sort of gives the effect of the light hitting it, even though it's still dark fur, you know. There we go. And just layering some more of this most dark color right in there. Yeah, that's better. That's more the look I was going for. Okay. Now I've got a little bit more of this, again, lighter fur that I feel like isn't white here. Let's see. Maybe mixing in a little bit of cad yellow to lighten it instead of white, maybe. Yeah, that works. Keeps it warmer looking that way. Got tricked into white early on in that. Because there is actually some white fur here, and then there's also some black fur that's just getting hit with a lot of sun. So just trying to get those warm tones in. There we go. I'm gonna go back in over these whites, but I don't wanna stick to dark tones for a little bit, just so as to not to mix things. Let's see, a little bit more of this warm kind of highlighty color. Top of this paw. Probably we'll go over that with a little bit of white, but I'd like it to have the color in there first. feel like that just starts to warm it up, gives that effect of the sunlight that I was seeing. Matches them both a bit better in their own unique color palettes. And pop up this alizarin. There we go. Plenty of that. Okay. Trying to figure out what's going on with this one's foot. I think one foot is back here and the other foot is folded under. I can see some claws peeking out, but I can't figure it out. I think that's what's happening. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Try and finish that off there. There we go. Put some claws on there. And then the other one is sitting back here. It's all in shadow. Need it to be extremely detailed, but I'd like to have them accounted for. All right. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Grab a little bit of white. Just want to get this chin detail. I think think that's about right. Okay. That's pretty good. I think this one's pretty good except for highlights now. For the most part. It's just a little bit of cleanup along this edge here. Kind of letting its edge be like lost a little bit. I don't think it is particularly descriptive, and I like how it's kind of fading into the background now. Let's kind of smooth it out a little bit. It's kind of an infinite number of things you can do at a certain point. Okay. Looks pretty good. Okay. I think do a little bit more refinement over here. Probably mix up a few new colors actually. And kind of a white tan. There we go. Just working on the little details. Everything doesn't have to be completely defined. I think it's okay if there's some abstract bits in here. Let's see. I'd like to do a little bit more with her face, maybe. I think it's just a little bit light in a few spots. I'm gonna take a little bit of this dark that I mixed up. Let's see. Keep it warm though. I don't want it to get too black. Let's see. Soften that just a little. Okay. Here. The highlight color, the shadow color here is actually pretty close to the highlight color I'm using over here. Just trying to, yeah. Just grabbing the tiniest bit. Keep it over here. Don't let it in. Okay. Let's do. Just need this, like, there's like a little bit of blue in this cheek that I'm seeing. And I don't want it. Really don't want to overdo it. That looks about right. I think I might have it. Messy knife. I got it though. Okay. Just working a little bit there. Okay. That's pretty good. Now I need. What else do I think? Put those spots in for claws. Put some paint on them too, but I think just having them light for now is pretty good. Actually, I'll go ahead and put those in. I'm not gonna do too much in this area. I don't think I'm in danger of mixing it in. Just top up this dark color that I've been using. It's good to have it handy. Okay. So, actually, while I'm at it, a couple more claws to add. scrape. Kinda. There we go. That's all we need. That foot doesn't need all that much detail. Okay. Let's see. I feel like now I'm just gonna pop a couple of lights in, put the sparkles in their eyes, and I think we'll be good. I think we're very close. Okay. So start by grabbing a little bit of white. Just pop that on there very simply. Got just a little bit of purple in there, but I think it's actually fine. I'm putting these on nice and thick. It's kind of the fur. I had textured this before with the knife that has all the little teeth on it, and it's actually letting this just grab the paint. It's got a little extra tooth to it now. Pretty good there. Let's see. A couple of similar spots over on this one. Just a tiny bit of blue in that way, I think. Like almost none. Just the tiniest bit over here. I think it might be time. Oh, not quite, not quite. One more little splash of white. Put my last little dot of white in the eyes, I think. Actually, a little sparkle on the nostril here too. check in for any other last minute adjustments. Actually like being able to put some of these little marks in here. Can be a little bit more controlled with this one knife than the other one that does the texture kind of automatically. There we go. Nice. All right. I think I like it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this very long video. Yeah, I had fun. If you're interested in a pet portrait commission, you can check out my Ko-fi page and have information on there. I hope you have a wonderful day or night or whatever you're up to next.